up, nerds? I'm Wes.
I'm Tom.
Today we're talking about Hit Z Road by Space Cowboys, not to be confused since the box says LA Entertainment, but we'll get to that in a minute. Tom, what did you think about this game?
I was pleasantly surprised by this game. It looked a little silly to me at first, and to be honest, it kind of is. The theming is cool. The idea of that it's supposed to be that this guy, during a zombie apocalypse, he found all this stuff and repurposed it to make this game. That's why there's bottle caps. That's why there's the back of...
Punch card here.
Yeah, and I don't know what this... So it's the back of like a player card here, like for a regular 52 deck of cards. But then this says Diner, Mom's Diner. So what is this? Is this a menu? Is this a really small menu? I don't understand.
Maybe the diner had like designer playing cards.
Car keys for this. I mean, we should just do an unboxing. Oh wait, we did. It's a Happy Croc Burger. Okay, enough about the pieces. It's cool. I like
Real
it.
quick, I will say about the pieces, I think it's really cool they did that, but they almost didn't take it quite far enough. Because it's like, oh, we've got these cool like repurposed playing cards and bottle caps, and then custom zombie meeples. Like, since these aren't in another game, I feel like that's almost like, did he just sit there and whittle custom meeples out? Like,
I mean, they look cool.
Absolutely.
Custom zombie meeples are cool, but you're right. I feel a little bit of there's a little bit of disjointedness with the theming here. I mean, it's cool and it's new. That aside, I did still really enjoy the gameplay with a few caveats. I enjoyed the gameplay with 4 players. Now, I only play this with 4 players and with 2 players. So I don't know what it is with 3 players, but I imagine still, I mean, I guess, okay, we did play a 3-player game, like, in theory, because there have been 4-player games where one person gets
there's player elimination, so...
Yeah, so we played the last, like, 2 rounds, and the only key that's left. What this is for is the last row that you bid on. Oh, there it is. The last row that you bid on costs more, so it's meant to, because the game is meant specifically to be played with 4 players, as I've noticed. With the number of cards that you make in the deck, that's exactly how it's supposed to be laid out. So they do this to kind of counteract that, and I don't really think it works for 2 reasons. One, then this makes the last row really undesirable, like almost too much so. And it always seems to kind of work out that the cards that you put on the last row are already pretty undesirable, and then this one drops on there,
yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, we're definitely not going there. But also, with 2 players, there's almost no sense to the bidding, which is a huge aspect of the game.
Yeah.
So I really do feel that this is a 4-player game. And again, I didn't play the 3-player, so maybe, but with the 4-player, aces.
Yeah, the first time I played it was actually as a 2-player. Me and Tom broke it out and saw how it was. And I almost was just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
But I don't want to play this game again. But we had heard some people say that you need to have more players.
Yeah.
And it definitely was better. I was the first one eliminated in the 4-player game, so it still wasn't a long game. But you could just see it worked so much better with bidding and even just more options. So like, when there's 2 players, it's, well, if I lose the bid, I just pick second. But with 4 players, if you lose the bid, you could pick third or fourth, and that is much more detrimental to the game.
I mean, what are the odds that, okay, you lose the bidding in a 2-player game and you pick second and you don't choose the one that's free? There's the other ones that cost extra resources. Like, really, how much better do those have to be that you're willing to pay that much?
There's definitely a slight chance it could happen.
Yeah.
But resources are so scarce that it's hard to justify.
And that is another thing I will say about this game, is it definitely, it's weird for new players and experienced players, the idea of, and mainly these tokens. I think these tokens that are talked about on the cards a lot, one of the rewards for winning these, the row or something, is get the Molotov cocktail token, get the Band-Aid token, get the Biohazard token. And it's cool when it's your first play of the game and you don't really know what the tokens do.
Yeah.
That's cool. But then later on, you know what they do when you've played it a couple more times, so you know the value of these different tokens and how good they can be.
So if you're teaching a new player, you almost have to take a second and go through and say, hey, this, you don't have to give everything away, but you at least have to say, like, hey, this is like, it could be good, could be bad. Hey, if this comes up and you get it, like, you're done for. Which is a huge advantage someone could get if they've played it a few times versus someone who's on their first play of the game. So I do have a hard time kind of defining this game as like a resource management, a bidding. Like, it's kind of weird because you have like your resources obviously are your bottle caps, and actually these like meeples are your resources, and you're bidding the bottle caps on the track, and then you're trying to like pick what row of cards, and you're fighting zombies. So it definitely fits like an interesting niche. It's like it's not like, oh, this is a Euro game or this is just a resource management game. Like I don't know, like do you really know how you would classify this game?
I actually think you touched on a very important point that you're right. It's very hard to, put my finger on it and exactly what this is. And I think the best way to describe it is, okay, you know how you're watching Netflix, right?
Yes.
And you watch, like, let's say if you were watching a movie on Netflix, if you were to press fast forward, it does this thing, like, on the bottom of YouTube, it has like the line of how long you're watching for, but it also kind of shows you a little preview of what part it's at, and it kind of runs through the movie real fast. So if you were to just hold it going forward, it like skips through. You'd be like, okay, so the tractor beam pulls them in, and okay, now they're on the Death Star and they're fighting. Okay, the trash chute, that whole thing. You'll be able to like, you just get like a little snippet of the movie, right? And you could almost watch a whole movie that way, but you don't get everything, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
I feel like this, to some degree, can feel that way. We're like, okay, we're like getting a little bit of bidding, and then like there's a little bit of like resource management, there's like a little bit of fighting zombies, but it's all just kind of like, it begins and then it's over. It just like boom, boom, boom. And I'm not saying this is a really quick game, because it actually can draw out to be a little bit longer than I just, made you feel like it is right there. But every phase of the game feels like, it's starting and then it's over. We just get a little snippet, just a little boom of that type of, that phase of the game. And I really like how you said that. It's hard to put our finger on it.
Yeah, and it's not in a bad way at all, because like it's cool that it's like that. I wouldn't say like, oh hey, I love resource management games, I'm getting this game. Like it's a cool kind of like combination for everyone, but I don't know if it's going to be anyone's like all-time favorite game either.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and you're right. I wasn't saying that to say that it's negative, but it's hard to fit a specific category, which, hey, is cool. We have a lot of games that all fit specific categories. Here's my deck builders, here's my adventuring games, here's my dungeon crawlers. It's cool and a little bit refreshing to have a game that doesn't fit any because it kind of fits multiple.
Alright, so the question is, where does Hit Z Road fit into your collection? Is it a main game night? Is it a filler game? Do you put it like behind your old Monopoly games? Do you put it front and center? What do you think, Tom?
I think this one is in between front and center and the behind Monopoly, but probably more towards front and center than it is towards the back. I'd say 60-75% of the way towards the front.
If you stack your games like...
If you have them in a row. Honestly, this game is a new experience because it's hard to fit a specific category, but it does have a specific number of players. Playing it a couple of times does give you an advantage, and it's definitely not something that you're going to play, oh, everybody come over so we can play Hit Z Road. But it does take a little bit more time than a normal filler. But it is definitely a boredom killer. You will never be bored when you're playing this game.
Alright, so if you're interested in picking up this game, go ahead and check the purchase link down below. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never be bored.
Yeah! Well, we can't redo it now.
So we're actually working on replacing all the bottle caps with real bottle caps, so drink up.